Matthew Alt with the Healthcare Blog, and I'm here with Todd Park, who,
Hello.
hi Todd, in a previous life was the founder of Athena Health, a company many of us know well for the Healthcare Blog and Health 2.0, and is now the CTO of HHS. So Todd, you said to me about 2 years ago you were going to California and never going back to the East Coast. What happened?
Well, I did make a promise to my wife to move to California and raise a family there and live there next to her mom for the rest of our lives. And then I got an email from the Obama administration asking me to become the CTO of HHS. And my full intent was to say no, that I was going to get divorced, and I couldn't do it, but I'd be happy to help any way I could. And then they described the job. And when they described the job to me, which was basically to be an internal entrepreneur at HHS, an internal change agent, focused on how to leverage technology, data, and innovation to improve health, I said, oh my gosh, I cannot resist that job. And so I talked to my wife. We talked for 4 days straight.
And you're still married, right?
I was still married. She actually thinks the job is an incredible opportunity to be helpful. And she said that it's my obligation to take that job. So she's a beautiful, incredible person. And with her permission, we moved temporarily back to DC to do this for a while, but still kept our house in California, which I bought literally a week before I got the email.
It's all right, you can never sell it anyway these days.
That's true, that's right. So, but it's a talisman that she's holding on to make sure that we go back.
You will get back there eventually. Yeah, we'll look forward to having you back, not in the not too distant future, but meanwhile, let's talk a bit about what you're doing there. You talked about 3 main things today. You talked about meaningful use, paying for use, not just paying for software.
Yep.
You talked about freeing the data, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yep.
And you also talked about social networking, something very close to my
Yes.
heart and also to yours.
Was telling you.
So let's talk, particularly, I've written this up so people can read about your remarks this morning, and I know we'll be having to hear more from you, the Health 2.0 community. But let's talk really about freeing the data. You described the whole range of data sets. So tell me what you think is really promising, and then I'm going to ask you a tough question after you explain to me what you think is promising.
Sure. Well, we're really just beginning to walk down this road, and we don't necessarily think that we know everything. In fact, we don't know close to everything about how our data can be useful. So we're about to launch an open government website, HHS Open Government website, actually by February 5th.
All right, great.
And
this week?
This week, exactly. And we'll be blogging on that website. I'll be blogging on it about open government in general. And the first question I'm actually going to pose is, what data sets do we have that would be most useful to the public? What improvements can we make to the data sets we're already making available, the over 100 data sets we're making available on data.gov? So we've taken our initial guesses on things like physician services utilization and spending by Medicare, every grant and project funded by NIH and all the patents and citations that spun out of that activity, every technology licensable from NIH and FDA, the hospital by hospital, individual hospital quality ratings that Medicare derives. So all that stuff we've made available in downloadable form online already. But we think we've just scratched the surface. And honestly, we're looking to the public for guidance about what we can actually make available. Obviously constrained by laws and the need to protect privacy and confidentiality of individuals, but looking to guidance from the public as to what we can do next, and really want that to be a key driver of what we decide to do. And
you also mentioned in your talk that not only the data, but the social networks around the data.
Yes.
So say a word or two about what you mean by that.
Yes. So one way we could go is just put a data set out there and say, okay, well, come and get it, right? I think that's certainly valuable, but what will be much more valuable is to actually mobilize an ecosystem of users around it, to help catalyze an ecosystem of users around it. And so one step is basically asking potential users what they want to see. But the second is actually, in specific areas like community health improvement, to work with the private sector to develop Web 2.0 style networking around, say, for example, data about comparative community health performance, to get a dialogue going about what the heck is going on. How are you doing something that's so amazing to reduce smoking by so much relative to me, who looks actually demographically and socioeconomically identical to you? People challenging each other, people sharing lessons learned. And we envision that not being at all driven by the government. We anticipate actually being a very interested actor and participate in those conversations, but something we really want to help catalyze, A, by providing the data, and B, by helping to convene maybe an initial set of actors who'd be interested in creating a Web 2.0 type network conversation around this stuff, and then having then the web take it from there. And so, so we'll be convening conversations along those lines with a bunch of folks across the private sector, public sector over the coming weeks.
So I think that's very exciting, and you also mentioned the concept of mashing up different types of data.
Yes, yes, yes.
With different types of
yes.
Let me ask you the tricky question. There was a lawsuit / court case about freeing up individual physician Medicare data over the last couple of years. Consumer's checkbook, I think.
Yes.
And
yes.
the previous administration actually started with the AMA to try to resist the sort of opening up of that data. Is there any word coming down from about the decision about where this administration is going to stand on that, and what do you expect about the future of that? Because I mean, when you're getting down to individual practitioner level data, there's a lot of controversy about it, but obviously if you want to start looking at not just hospital by hospital, but what's going on with individual practitioners, that's probably the greatest data source we have.
Right. Not yet. So it's an issue of which we're obviously aware, and we're looking at it very closely. But there's no news on that front yet.
All right, we're looking forward to that. So, and of all the things that you've seen in the last sort of 5 months of going walk around on HHS and seeing this incredible organization, which is probably rather different to the startup world you were in for the previous 10 years.
Actually, similar in a lot of ways, surprisingly.
Well, I was going to say, what was the most remarkable thing you've seen?
Well, the most remarkable thing that I've seen, and it very much relates to what I was just saying, which is that there are actually more similarities than you might think, is there's an extraordinary array of very, very talented, very committed, very mission-oriented people that I would call entrepreneurs all across HHS, and who are really focused on driving change, facilitating change, catalyzing change. And I actually see my job not as sort of being some alien that landed on the lawn of HHS, a flying saucer with a bunch of ideas I'm going to post top down, but more basically taking any thought that I have and basically as rapidly as possible finding the people at HHS who've had the idea for years, who really pushed on it, and who have assets and data and resources that we could actually stitch together with other people across HHS to make stuff happen. So I'm really creating virtual startups within HHS to do things around data liberation and social networking and so on and so forth. And the reason why that's possible is because there's such a deep talent base in HHS already that just needs to be given the cover fire and the support to make amazing things happen. And so I've found a bunch of kindred spirits at HHS. And I'll tell you what, if I took basically the people that I've worked with in my startups, I took a bunch of people that I worked with at HHS and put them all in a room and mixed them together and challenged you to tell me the difference, I bet you couldn't. Because they're all incredibly bright, incredibly mission-oriented, want to do the right thing, and very entrepreneurial. And that's probably the highest compliment I can pay to both of them. So that's been the biggest reason why I've been having such a good time.
Sounds like a very exciting time. Great. So I've been talking with Todd Park, who is now the CTO of HHS. Thank you very much, Todd.
Thanks very much, Matthew.